Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers best bet or daily package for only $2.
Welcome, everybody, to Wager Talk Today. I am Lawrence Presman. He is Teddy Covers. And you're watching the best daily sports betting show on the planet. Teddy, I did edibles super early last night, around 6-ish. I crashed at 7:30. Anything go on? Anything I needed to know about?
Sure. We'll talk about it throughout the course of today's show, I'm sure. But just to set the show up, we got Las Vegas Cris. He's the $2 Tuesday handicapper over at WagerTalk.com today. He's going to talk some NHL action, Tampa Bay and Chicago. He's also going to break down the Lions and the Packers in the NFL. He's going to give us an NFL bet scenario with the Jags and the Seahawks. Andrew Mcinnis is going to join us next. He's going to break down a couple of games in the NHL, the Islanders and the Canucks, and the Kraken against the Oilers. My big game breakdown is college hoops action tonight, Mississippi State and Tennessee. And Steve Merril is going to join us to close out the show. I'm not yet sure which game Steve's talking about, but I'm sure it'll be something in the sports betting universe. Lawrence?
Well, Teddy, before we bring Chris in, we're going straight to that terrible news last night. And Vivian and I were watching it, and we were in shock. I mean, I have no words. I'm not going to go into some soliloquy. Obviously, we all wish Hamlin well. Wow. So how does that affect bettors, Teddy?
Well, if you want to go right into what bettors learn at right the top, let me do that. Because, again, this is a tragedy on the field. We cannot, from our spots at home, affect anything that's going on the field. From our perspective, we need to know what's going on with the wagers. And that is what I want to talk about here, because this is a Las Vegas-based show. It's a sports betting show. Tragedy, and this isn't the first time this has happened on an NFL field. It probably won't be the last. From a betting standpoint, let's talk about it. Joe D'Amico posted a great, over from sportsmember.com, Joe D'Amico posted a great article from the Las Vegas Review-Journal talking about all the different house rules that are in play. At Station Casinos and South Point Sportsbook, all wagers in the game are going to be refunded. These are just books in Vegas. The rules state that football games must play a minimum of 55 minutes to be considered official. Games failing to reach official status will result in no action, and wagers will be refunded. That's at Stations and South Point. That's not the case at Circa and Westbrook. All football games must be played within 8 days of the originally scheduled date for action. Sportsbook Operations Manager Jeff Benson, quote, "Once we have more understanding from the league as to when this game will be completed, then we'll be able to refund any affected markets if the game won't fall into the 8-day window." BetMGM, quote, "We'll update all customers as soon as possible, and additional guidance regarding the game is provided by the NFL." They don't even know what they're going to do yet. For the Circa Millions contest, the game's got to be completed by 1:59 a.m. Wednesday to be eligible to be graded as a win, loss, or push. All right. For the Westgate Super Contest, the game must be played by the end of the day on Tuesday to be graded. So there are a lot of different issues, book by book, contest by contest, as to what the end result of the Bills-Bengals postponement is going to be. Lawrence?
Teddy, listen, let's leave the contests aside. Okay. What is the reasoning? I mean, why can't the Circa just refund the bet? Like, what is the reasoning? Just refund the damn bets. Like, it makes no sense to me. There has to be a legitimate reason.
The house rules are posted, all right? And that's the reason that the house rules say the game must be played within 8 days.
I understand that, but why is that the house rule?
So that's the rule. It doesn't matter why.
Who came up with that
rule? You can change the rule another time. All right. If you want to change the rule, you can change. What the reason the rule is that way is because the house doesn't want to be in a situation where every time a game gets postponed or moved a day or whatever, they have to refund every wager and retake every wager. Now, 8 days might be a little bit much, and we'll see in the long term what these books decide to do if 8 days is the appropriate window. But those are the house rules. It doesn't matter. They cannot change. It's not going to change. They're posted. The Gaming Commission requires the books to utilize their house rules in every instance. So it's not a situation where it's debatable. That's what the rule is. That's what happens to the bet.
Teddy, I'm with you. I mean, it's such a beautifully American response. Why should you be allowed guns? Well, because it's in the Constitution, of course. No, Teddy, we need to know why. Not because it's the rules. Why are those the rules is what I'm interested in.
The rules are that way, okay, in theory.
Yeah, so what you said made sense. What you said made sense.
I gave you an answer to what that was. Just because you didn't actually let it process in your brain.
We're not fighting today. No fighting. Namaste. I love you. Yes, your answer makes a lot of sense. 8 days does seem a little long. Childhood Greats, a listener in our chat room asks, and I don't know the answer to this, Teddy. Does the game pick up at the current score and time remaining when they do get back to it, or does it start from scratch?
I think so, but I don't know. Yeah, it's a suspended game, so one would think that it would start exactly, with the clock and the score exactly where it was. But I don't know.
Well, then how do you avoid wages? How does anyone bet on the game?
I don't. That is an answer that I don't know, and I'm not gonna.
Las Vegas Cris joining us. He's gonna know. He's gonna know. He's gonna lean back in his chair, look super suave. Oh yeah, there he is. Yeah, leaning back in his chair, looking super suave, pulling the Pat Riley. Las Vegas Cris, can you help us with any of this stuff?
Yeah, actually, I just DM'd Jeff Benson over at Circa, and he answered me immediately and said that rule came about because of COVID and not having to have everybody rebet and avoid a little bit of the confusion. You also have to remember that this applies to futures also. There's been some huge mix-ups. If they reschedule an event where a future event starts on a different day, those may need to be reset at some places also. So you have to check your rules at every book for everything that you do when it comes to teasers, when it comes to bets that you're laying. They all have different rules on pushes or whether they're canceled, what's good, what's not. It's up to you as the consumer to seek out that information, and you only have yourself to blame if you haven't read the house rules.
Yeah, because, I always read the house rules.
Yeah. Be honest with me, Cris. You go around and read the house rules? Do you know the house rules differences between one book and another? Or is that one of the scenarios where, hey, something funky just happened, we better check those house rules now? Because I don't know them all by heart.
If I get a new offshore account, the first thing I'm doing is I'm checking house rules because I want to know what their teaser rules are. Some places may push on certain teasers, may not push on certain teasers. Certain juice changes. Some places charge 10%, some places 20%, some places 40% on standard team teasers. I also want to know what their parlay policies are. I'm going to flinch in correlated parlays, see if they're going to take correlated parlays. I want to know how much it costs to buy half points. I want to know what cancellation policies are. So yeah, I do.
Hey, stop making Teddy and I feel stupid.
Well, I'm doing a lot of this and that type of betting, so it's really important for me to know all these little ins and outs. I mean, for the average bettor, it probably doesn't concern them as much, but I think knowing your teaser rules is extremely important because.
Absolutely, but that's
100%. And I do, and some of the books,
700 rules that are posted, and certainly when you're betting teasers, you need to know those teaser rules. But in terms of having every house rule memorized for every book to know this book's going to take it within 8 days, but this book's going to cancel the wager, I didn't know that. You know that? I mean, honestly,
I did know that. I had my entire Buffalo bet placed at one location, and I knew right away the bet was canceled. If I had placed it at Circle, I would have known that it was good for 8 days.
There you go, Cris. Las Vegas Cris joining us, everybody. He is the $2 Tuesday handicapper. You have a 5% play up. I think it's in hockey, right? It's $2.
It is. We're 3-0 in NHL, 5% plays, 80% lifetime in the NHL. And
nice.
We've got one for $2 Tuesday. We're going for our 7th straight $2 Tuesday winner.
Wow, Cris. That is amazing because usually it's the stress of death. Las Vegas, Cris, let's start right off the bat with a hockey game, and then we're going to go into some NFL. Tampa Bay, man, they're on the road. They're playing Chicago. You know, it's so tough for me deep into the season already and just seeing the constant losses that the Blackhawks are putting down and not really being involved in taking advantage of any of it. You know, you just say like, okay, is this the one they're going to win? Plus 270. That's not a surprise. How do we bet this game?
Well, this is going to be a little bit of deja vu to last Wednesday when I was on here and gave out the Toronto Maple Leafs first period minus 1/2. And
do you remember who gave out?
One.
Do you remember who gave out? Do you remember who gave out Arizona on the game?
Was that you?
Yeah, just one.
Yeah,
I felt like we teamed up on that pick, Cris.
We did.
You handled the first period. I handled the game. Let's try do it again. Go ahead.
Well, we're 8 out of 11 on these first period plays, and we haven't played one since that Wednesday. So you can't just blindly bet these large favorites in the first period. You have to be selective, and we've been doing pretty well on that. The Blackhawks have only held first period lead in 3 of their 20 home games and only 5 of their 37 games this season. Tampa Bay strong, and they're scoring 5th in the league at 3.57 goals per game. And Chicago is 29th in the league. And we just feel that this is a perfect spot for them to get out in front and win that first period battle. And at the time of we placed the wager, we were getting plus money on that wager on a minus 300 plus favorite. So we like that.
So lay the half in the first period tonight in the NHL. Let's talk a little NFL football. This game fascinates me. It feels like, number one, that the Lions somehow are finding a way to get hosed by the NFL yet again. And 2, it feels like the Packers feel like they've won this game already. I was reading the quotes from Green Bay, and they sounded as confident as could be. Sunday, Lions, Packers. Looking at the WagerTalk live odds screen right now, I'm seeing Green Bay minus 4.5, 49.5. What can we do with this one? And what can we do in terms of taking advantage of some potential situations? Because the Lions' motivation could well be it's played earlier in the day. What are we going to do with it, Cris?
I know exactly what to do. Hurry up and wait, because it doesn't matter who you like in this game. This line is going to move. This is basically a placeholder line for those that want to bet at this point. For me, I'll be honest. I like the Detroit Lions in this game, regardless if Seattle wins earlier in the day or not. And the way I see this game happening is if Seattle wins, and I do favor Seattle to win that game. Well, if you like the line's going to shoot up to 6 or 7, could go even higher than 7. So you don't want to be betting the Lions now. And then what's the worst case scenario if Seattle loses the game? What are you going to really give up? You're watching the game. You're going to have a lead on it. Some places will start to pop the line up once the game starts to become the result of the Seattle game is known. And your worst case scenario, the bare worst case scenario is you have to take a +3 on the Lions. And I don't think it ever gets down to +3. I think it goes from 4.5 to 3.5. And you should be able to catch a +4 along the way. So if you're a Green Bay bettor, and you think Seattle's going to win, maybe you take the 4. you want to take an early line. But if you're a Lions bettor, you don't want to bet this game right now. And I'm a Lions bettor this week. I honestly believe that they are extremely geeked. They are excited. I've seen all the quotes. They are very excited to be in this primetime matchup. They want to demonstrate that they're for real. They want to play spoiler if they cannot get in the playoffs. And I anticipate their full effort here.
Las Vegas Cris, everybody, outstanding job. And Chris, just to add my 2 cents, I thought to myself, look, Green Bay wants to win. They want to make the playoffs. Even if Detroit can't make the playoffs, I still can't decide who wants to win more. I think Detroit wants this game as bad as any team wants a game. It's a rivalry game, a division game, a chance to end the season strong, a chance to make a statement. Detroit is going to play their asses off. Who knows, though, if that's going to be good enough. Teddy?
I was going to say, just don't forget the first meeting between these two teams, where the Lions absolutely stole one from the Packers in meeting one. I'm sure it's a loss Green Bay remembers. So it's the same season revenge. It's not a huge angle, but it's something to be aware of for this one, in my opinion. I don't think Green Bay is going to look past Detroit.
No, I'm with you too. I don't know if it's going to be enough for Detroit, but man, if that line goes to 6, all over it. Las Vegas Cris, $2 handicapper. He's got a very rare 5% play tonight, guys. He has not put out a lot of these plays. Chris is absolutely killing it. Go to the website, WagerTalk.com. Check it out. There's streaks, there's runs, there's information. Only $2 for Las Vegas Chris's $2 Tuesday 5% play. Anything else, my friend?
Not really. Good luck to everybody. It's going to be an interesting week, that's for sure.
Yeah, you bet. Love having you on, Chris. Take care of yourself. Go brush your hair. I think Strand 64, Section 12, out of place. Teddy covers. Jessica, we talk about Jessica a lot on the show. She asks, if Seattle wins and Green Bay wins, who's in? Jessica, the answer is Green Bay. Green Bay wins, they're in, period. End of story. Move on. If you want to see all the playoff clinching situations, I'm going to suggest something. Google. Teddy covers. As my kid calls it, the Google. The Google. Teddy, so New Year's Eve, did I tell the story with Vivian?
Yes.
Okay. You're just saying yes to get Andrew McGinnis. That was beautiful. That was stunning, Teddy. Andrew McGinnis.
Hello, guys.
Andrew, you're looking very pale, man. What's up?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's all about the behind the scenes. I'm going to blame Dan for all of this. I got to go down south. Dan. I did get my girlfriend a trip to Florida for Christmas, so hopefully I can be a little more tan in a couple months. But yeah, it's what life is like when you live in the far East Coast and you're freezing your ass off every day. You get a little bit pale. But Prez, you look kind of tan, actually.
Hey, dude, come on, man. God gifted me with skin tone from the heavens. Andrew, but she's still your girlfriend?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you proposed.
No.
Not yet. No. Okay. Well, when you do, Lindsay, if you're listening, we'll get him too soon. Enough already. Teddy, you wanted to add something?
No, I don't want to add anything there. Thank you, though.
Okay, great. Islanders, Canucks. Andrew, I love this game. I love the Canucks. We're entering the second half of the NHL season, and I think it's important for everybody to look at this from a conceptual perspective, buy teams, sell teams. We could talk for a while about this. For instance, I think Seattle is a sell team. I think Florida is a buy team. I think Vancouver is a buy team. I think Calgary is a buy team. I think the Islanders are a sell team, but slightly a sell team. LA Kings are a sell team. So here we have the Vancouver Canucks minus 111 at home against the Islanders. And I freaking love it. Where are you going?
This is why it's funny that in our Slack group, for everybody watching, we don't always tell Teddy and Prez what our plays are. And I think this is exactly why. I love the Islanders tonight. So,
tell me why.
This is a little bit of
that's that's okay.
I mean, no, of course. So look, I mean, I get it, and it's the new year, and this is definitely the time of the year in the NHL season where you want to find your buy and sell teams. I completely agree with Prez there, and I will talk about the Kraken in the next game I discuss. But here's the thing, as far as the Vancouver Canucks go, they average 3.44 goals per game. Their record is 16-17, yet they average 3.58 goals against. How could a team in the NHL have a losing record when they're averaging, that many goals per game? This is a team that is very exhausting and frustrating defensively. If you're someone that looks at quotes, I mean, you're looking at leaders like JT Miller, Bo Horvat, all of these guys getting asked questions from the media, pretty much saying, do you feel like you're helping out this team enough defensively? If you have media members challenging your effort on defense, to me, that's a problem. And I think that this Vancouver Canucks team, whether it's low scoring or high scoring games, they're struggling to cross the finish line. They're struggling to finish games. I think if anybody likes the Vancouver Canucks over the next few weeks, I would recommend playing them in the first period. I don't believe they're putting forward a good 60-minute effort. Meanwhile, the Islanders have battled adversity. They've taken on, after a couple injuries to their team, a couple key guys being out, they found a way to win some hockey games. They're off a bad game. I think they will bounce back and get the job done. And hey, it's a pick 'em matchup for a reason here, guys, but I feel like the Islanders is the team that I trust more with my money.
Another West Coast game in NHL action for tonight is the Kraken and the Oilers. Looking at the WagerTalk live odds screen, I'm seeing Edmonton in the minus 160, minus 165 range total here. 6.5 juice to the over. What are you going to do with Seattle and Edmonton?
Well, this is one of those situations where these guys are very familiar with each other, Teddy, because they just played just a couple games ago, and it was a one-sided affair. We saw the Edmonton Oilers win 7-2 against the Seattle Kraken. So I'm sure Seattle has revenge on their minds. And instead of looking towards that revenge angle or looking towards his side, I'm going to just say, if it ain't broken, don't try and fix it. And that's what I'm going to look for as far as the over 6.5 goals. I feel like we're going to see some regression from Martin Jones, who is the expected goaltender tonight for Seattle. Stuart Skinner has been okay, I'll say, in goal for the Edmonton Oilers, but they give up a ton of goals. And they're off a game where their offense wasn't great, but guess what? They went 0 for 5 on the power play. Edmonton has the number 1 power play in the league, so I do expect them to bounce back in general with goals, but especially bounce back as far as their special teams are concerned. I'm with Prez. I think Seattle is a team that, might start to fall off a little bit, but they do have lots of pieces. It's not just one or two guys doing the scoring. And, I think that in the NHL specifically, more than a lot of other sports, NFL, you can see one player score 3 touchdowns. In the NBA, you got guys dropping 70 points last night. In the NHL, you need several guys contributing. And I think we have both teams right now seeing that out of their clubs. That's what I like when I'm trying to go over 6.5 goals. So I really do like goals in this one. We saw 7-2 the last time. Why not see goals again here this time around?
Yeah, and I don't disagree with you, Andrew. Before we let you go, brother, holy hockey game last night between Canada and Slovakia. Canada outshot Slovakia, give or take 60-25. And it went into overtime. Connor Bedard with just a stunning goal. With that said, the defenseman leaned forward. I play defense. You never shift your weight forward. Shame on you. The play was made better by a brain cramp in the head of the Slovakian defenseman.
Well, Prez,
Andrew,
I think that before that goal was scored, there was a penalty, like a cross check. So I think when I watched that game winner get scored, and you mentioned the defenseman kind of making that play there, it almost seemed like he was hesitant to make any type of hit. or any type of, you know what I mean? It almost seemed like he was
either way,
hesitant
he
to do anything.
Shouldn't have been leaning forward. The minute a defenseman leans forward, they're done.
But for anybody out there watching this that doesn't really follow hockey, this is one of those generational players that we're talking about for Team Canada, Connor Bedard. He is one of those guys where you see them get hyped up for so long. You see the hype for many, many years. And going into this tournament that's actually being played in the city that I grew up in, I went to a couple games, and I'll tell you what, this player is living up to expectations. If you're a team or you're a fan of a team in the bottom of the rankings right now in the NHL, you better hope your team just keeps on losing, because he's going to make a big difference. Prez, the second I get off with you guys, I will be looking for tickets to the semifinal game tomorrow. Before I do get off, though, I do want to mention a couple things.
Is it in Halifax? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe Vivian and I should fly out. Yeah, no. Andrew Mcinnis, everyone. What do you got to promote?
Well, it was a really successful 2022. I finished plus around 82 units, I believe. That's all sports. But guys, this is around the time of year last year where I got that 15-0 NHL run. I'm not saying I can replicate that this year, but I'm going to try. And we've got a really, really good read right now on a few teams looking to bet on and bet against. Last 365 days in the NHL, hitting 57%, 11.7% ROI, and plus 143 units. This is a promo code used only for WagerTalk Today. I will not give this out anywhere else. WTT349. Get my entire NHL season for $349.
Andrew Mcinnis, everyone. And Andrew, I know we're up against it, but real quick, I've played out the scenario. Somehow Arizona wins the lottery. The Leafs call them up. They're like, take Austin. We'll take the first round pick. It makes total sense for everybody. I've played it all out. It's going down. We're trading Austin. They'll sign him to a long-term contract in his hometown, and we will get Connor Bedard. Andrew Mcinnis, everyone. Teddy, let's take a quick break.
Guys.
We got your big game breakdown coming up, and when Steve Merril eventually shows up, we will put him on.
Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers best bet or daily package for only $2.
It is time for today's big game breakdown. Let's talk some Tuesday night college basketball, SEC style. Tennessee and Mississippi State, two teams with 11-2 records right now. Looking at the WagerTalk live odds screen, I'm seeing the Vols. Let's call them -9.5 at home. There are still some -10s out there. Total 123. Mississippi State isn't triple revenge. They lost all three meetings last year, including a 3-point loss as 9.5-point dogs here. The exact same point spread we're seeing tonight. That said, Mississippi State's kind of in point spread free fall right now. They've got one cover in their last 9 games, dating back since before Thanksgiving. And they were 11-0. Now they're 11-2. Back-to-back losses against Drake and Alabama. This is a struggling offensive team right now. And when you're a struggling offensive team, one place you don't want to go is Knoxville. They got Rick Barnes and company. When you look at Tennessee's defensive numbers, they're sick. Number 1 in the country in effective field goal percentage allowed. Number 1 in 3-point shooting defense as well. You can go on and on down the line with multiple top 5, top 10 defensive categories for Rick Barnes' defense. They've been playing grinders. 63-59 against Ole Miss. 56-53 against Maryland. 64-50 against Kansas. Mississippi State can't shoot straight. They're playing in a really elite defense and a coach that loves to play grinders. It's not like we're going to see any fast break buckets in this one. I would expect a low-scoring affair between Tennessee and Mississippi State. This game has the potential to stay well under, even $1.23, which is pretty low. That's too high for this one. And Mississippi State team total under might be worth a look as well. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Yeah, Teddy, before you mentioned the Mississippi State team under, I was looking at that line and thinking about the under and going, how many points is Mississippi State going to actually score here? Wow, minus 9.5 and 123. You don't see that very often.
The total got bet up in early betting action this morning with 9.5 and 120. And yeah, it happens. It's not that unusual in the college basketball world.
So how did you do yesterday, bro?
Favorite and a shorter total. I'm sorry, Lawrence. You continue to talk when other people are talking, so they can't hear what you're saying. What was that?
Yeah, that's my thing, Teddy. People love it. They go, rude Canadian. Yesterday I was called a rude Canadian by a guy whose name, I swear to God, the guy's name was Dickhead. Legit. Then I responded to him wanting to talk about his name, and YouTube said, no, I can't use that phrase, even though that's his bloody name. Anyway, what were we just talking about?
I have no idea, dude. Keep taking us off track.
Yeah, that's what I do too. Steve Merrill's joining us, but before that, $5 Tuesdays at Sports Memo. We give out 3 handicappers for $5. This Tuesday, it's Tim Michael, the Insider's Room, and Dan Kaiser, all with 5% plays. All 3 of them only $5. What is Raven Ron right? The rude Canadian is the reason I come to the show. Me too, Raven. Yeah. Now you understand. Anyway, this rude Canadian is going to bring in a flag-waving American Virginia man who we all love, Steve freaking Merril. Where's your flag?
Hey, give me 2 seconds warning there, and I still was able to grab it because it's always within arm's reach. That's
Steve, are you military family? Because I think Virginia
you asked
is
me
the
that,
number
You asked me that like
one.
3 months ago when I waved a flag. You don't have to be military to wave a flag.
Well, I forgot what you said. I don't listen to answers. I just ask questions.
What? Why do we answer? Why, Teddy? Why?
Well, because they want to hear.
Prez, yeah, we ignore Prez. He doesn't pay attention to what anyone else says but himself. But our audiences may or may not be interested if you're from a military family.
No, as I said last time you asked me this, I think the last time I waved a flag, not all Americans have to be military to wave a flag. And just a very patriotic American who loves the country and loves freedom. I love freedom, and it's hard to find nowadays across the world, including here. So.
Okay, we're going into an area I don't want to go into.
You don't love freedom? You don't want to go into the area of freedom? My goodness, how is that controversial?
This is my American flag, and I am all about. I don't know, I majored in American history at university. Fascinating. Nobody cares. Ohio -1 at Buffalo tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern. A big total of 159. How do we bet this game, Steve?
Yes, and as we often talk about, totals are high for a reason, right? And these are some of the highest totals on the board tonight. Teddy just talked about a low total might not be low enough. I agree with that theory. Also, the other side, it works. This total opened 155. We're talking about Ohio and Buffalo. It's now up to 159, and it's been steamed up over the last couple hours. That is sharp money, and I do not disagree with it. And the main reason being is that Buffalo is one of the fastest teams in the country. There are 363 Division I basketball teams, and currently Buffalo, after 12 games, is playing at the 6th fastest pace out of all 363. And I think Ohio will be glad to play that way tonight as well. Ohio does not run as much, but does like to play up-tempo when possible, and these are the kind of setups you look for. We get a pure over team in Buffalo. No surprise there, and I think Ohio runs with them as well. Ohio's a very good offensive team, 78 points a game this year. And both teams are below average defensively. So not going to overthink this one. 2 offenses are going to score at will tonight. I think they'll have some fun in this one. Ohio and Buffalo gets into that 160 range.
So from a series history standpoint, these two teams, every time they play, they've got a total in this range. The last 6 meetings, the total's been between 151.5 and 160. They've been expecting up-tempo games. The last 6 meetings, the under's 6-0. And many of them haven't even been close. Last time they played, went under by 25 points. Buffalo got to 53 in that ball game. Do you worry about that?
Yeah, no, it's definitely an interesting angle, but I think this is a totally different Buffalo team. This is the fastest I've ever seen them play this year, and I also think they're much weaker defensively than they've been in years past. They're giving up almost 80 points a game. Ohio is giving up 70 a game, but that's a little misleading. They've played opponents that have averaged only 70 on the season. Buffalo's averaged almost 80, and Ohio ranks only 213th in defensive efficiency. So I really think it's not the same setup this year. And we talked about this last week, Teddy. I think sometimes these series histories staying under or doing the opposite of what you're playing actually gives you a little bit of value. And I also think that's one of the reasons this total opened too low. It opened 155. It's been bet up to 159. I think that total was too low at the opener based on those recent unders.
Steve Merril joining us, everyone. And Steve, before we get to the next game, thanks for joining us. We had a late cancellation from Dave Sherapan. You stepped in. We appreciate it. Jimmy Adams, hopefully, will be taking your spot tomorrow. Otherwise, we'll go back-to-back with you. I mean, it doesn't get much better than you.
Steve is me tomorrow. I have jury duty tomorrow.
Steve is you tomorrow. Yes, you wrote that.
So Steve is going to be the co-host.
Yeah, see, Teddy, not only do I not listen, not only do I not read, I don't remember shit.
Yeah, you forget, too. Yeah, just keep it the edibles, buddy. Keep popping them.
Yeah, and Teddy, I didn't reply earlier because I was scrambling to find some games, but I'm pretty sure Carm stepped up Sunday night to say he'd take my spot tomorrow. So we have both Jimmy and Carm on first tomorrow, so we'll let Prez figure that out as well.
Oh, yeah, I got to take a look. I probably messed this all up. Well, yeah. Okay, yes. We'll figure it out. Anyway, Stephen Merril, let's get to your next game. I'm interested. Ball State, Toledo, -8.5, and another high total around the same, 158.5. What do we do here?
Yeah, these are two teams that overall have better records than the last game. These are both 9-4 teams, so combined 18-8 on the season. But we're going to once again take the same premise here and look at the total. This is a game that should be very fast. You know, I talked about Buffalo playing 6th fastest. Toledo is 16th fastest in the country out of 363 teams. I think Ball State, just like Ohio, will be glad to play that way. And something else I want to point out, home teams in general dictate tempo better than road teams. And both Buffalo and Toledo, of course, are on their home courts tonight, which should also help the faster pace. And it's a very similar handicap to the last game. We've got a very fast home court team, a road team that's moderate but likes to play fast when possible. Ball State's averaging almost 77 points a game this year. And also, both teams are below average defensively. So, once again, not going to overthink this one. I think it's a pretty clear-cut over, and the market has agreed. It opened 157.5, is up to 158.5. I even see some 159. So we're playing both of these MAC games to get into the 160 range tonight.
Yeah, I mean, certainly Toledo's an over team. They've trended over. The series history trends over. You know, nothing like the other matchup. But Ball State is coming off like back-to-back grind. You know, they haven't played an up-tempo game in weeks, it feels like. Do you worry about them being a little bit rusty offensively off the holidays, especially considering that they haven't really pushed tempo since the middle of December? Does that concern you here?
Yeah, by the way, Teddy, 11-1 to the over this year is Toledo. So you're right. They've been the best over team in all of college football. And to be honest, that actually concerns me more than anything in this game because it almost seems too easy when a team's on an 11-1 run. But I like the fact that that Ball State's been held in check the last couple of games. We talked about this last week as well. I remember, I think it was the Pacific BYU game maybe we were talking about, you know, when the teams have played a couple slow down teams, and then they both play teams that want to play fast. I like that setup because it's almost like you're keeping in a caged animal and you're letting them out finally. And I think Ball State will be anxious to run tonight after playing a Chicago State team, by the way, that plays in the 290s in tempo. So I'm not going to read too much into that one. And Georgia Southern 295. So you've played two really slow teams in Chicago State and Georgia Southern. You struggle to score. They stayed under. Be the exact opposite tonight. So that's actually one of the reasons I do like the over here is I think Ball State will be anxious to run and play up tempo.
Steve Merril, thanks for joining us. I guess I got you tomorrow. Me and you, no Teddy. That's not a bad thing, man. I'm excited about it. What do you got to promote?
Hey, go to my page now, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. We'll have, of course, the NFL Fade the Public video later this week. And we'll be starting a college basketball top 25 video for weekends now that football is over as well. So hit subscribe, hit the like button, and hit the bell for instant alerts when these videos go live. And I'll have a special promo code up on my page this week as well, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com.
Brilliant stuff, Steve Merril, everybody. Teddy covers. We're at 99 likes. I was going to ask you what we should do we? But then we got to 100.
I would have suggested prayer.
Yeah. All right, everybody, it's Tuesday. It's your daily presidential address. I got count them, 3 NHL bets for you all. Before we get into that, I want to thank everybody for grabbing that promo. The promo is over. We had a ton of people take it, and I'm thrilled. I really appreciate it, your loyalty. It means a lot to me. Anyway, today I got a 4% NHL total up, and the reason I'm mentioning that is over the last 2 years, nothing has been more consistent than my 4% NHL totals. I'm over 62% in these plays over 2 years, and I'm on a 28-8 run in them right now. I also have a 3% NHL play, and I have 3 college basketball plays, and you all know what has been going on with my college hoops. It's just ridiculous how good it's been. Okay, as for your 3 bets for tonight, Andrew Mcinnis got on the show today, WagerTalk Today. Check it out, our YouTube channel, WagerTalk TV. He liked the New York Islanders. I totally disagree with him. I like the Vancouver Canucks at -111. I also like Nashville and Montreal over the total tonight. This Montreal team couldn't stop anybody if their net was half the size. They literally just gave 9 goals were just scored on them recently. They're going to try play better defense. It doesn't matter. They don't have the talent to do it. I think we can see a very high-scoring game here. And then we got the LA Kings and the Dallas Stars at the number 6. I like that game to go over as well. Other than that, Teddy got mad at me yesterday for going 45 seconds over the show. Today, I'm 3 minutes under. Teddy, take us home.
Yeah, but we don't have a hard out today, and I'll take the over 45 seconds for how long you were yesterday, especially because you're wasting time on a day where I've got a hard
kicking, give it
today
to
we don't
me
have a hard
now.
out. That being said, when Lauren starts to sing, it's time to end the show. That's going to wrap it for the Tuesday edition of Wager Talk Today. We'll do it again tomorrow, same time, same channel, with Steve Merril in my chair. 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east. Between now and then, best of luck with all your wagers. Enjoy the games tonight.
Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers, best bet, or daily package for only $2.